We are live. It is great. It is
We
beautiful.
live?
I think we're live. I will see if the video is updating. Oh, we've already got people in the chat and everything. Oh man. We are live.
Here, I don't see anybody in the chat.
Well, according to this, there are people in the chat actively watching us. I hit the go
This
live
is just
button.
like when I stream. I don't know when I'm live, and I don't know who's talking.
Right. I love the early beginnings of every live stream where it's always like, "Hey, are we actually live? Is this working?" That is my
Yeah.
favorite part of every stream.
Me too. I can't even get my stream starting warm up thing to work properly.
Oh, but yeah, no, we've been live for a whole 13 seconds. A whole 13 seconds.
Let's go.
All right, so
I got a text saying I'm live by somebody. I gotta notify my Discord.
oh yeah, you got to let your people know, man. You got to tell the entire world.
We live with Greg.
And I'm live with Tom.
Whoever's here is gonna know.
Yeah, hey, we've got the 3 people in the chat. They 5 people in the chat. Oh man, look at us. Look at that combined draw. We have as much draw as a punk band on a Thursday night.
Well, this was gonna be Wednesday for a long time, and then I was like, actually, it's gotta be Tuesday.
And then I made the mistake of accidentally hitting Monday on the thing.
Yeah.
And then yesterday was just absolute craziness for me where I didn't even notice until I woke up this morning. It was like, oh, I hit Monday. And I got a bunch of people asking me if I was okay or if I was dead or something. Because Greg, you didn't show up for your stream. Yeah, no. Are you okay? Was yesterday bad? Well, yes, but
Yeah.
But no, everything is good today. Oh, what? Another person in the chat. What's up, Clink? What is up?
We got Clink. Clink is the realest of them all, I fear.
I mean, Clink exists, so that is about as real as you can get.
Yeah. I like that you have a little 11 footage going on.
Oh, well, that is just my 11 video essay, because I like to have just some footage in the background. It adds more to the stream, and it's 2 hours, so I just let it play, and I don't have to worry about adjusting it.
So Fantasy XI is a topic between us.
It is a topic. We have numerous topics between us. We've got Brave Exvius, mobile games, story versus gameplay, which is the thumbnail, the spoiler, which it really it's not necessarily going to be a debate or a battle. We just thought that was a good way to market this as sort of our different perspectives.
Yeah, that's always how it goes.
But I think I want to begin with how I found your channel and maybe some of my thoughts on your content, and then you can go into some of your thoughts on my content, and then we can dive into 11 and whatever. But the way I found your channel was that I was playing Final Fantasy Dimensions, and I just wanted to just vibe with a review of Final Fantasy Dimensions because I was getting close to the end. I'm I was working I just want to have a review on in the background and just sort of vibe to it. And so I found your review of Dimensions, and I was this is a good review. Oh, he's playing every Final Fantasy game. I guess I will just go through and every single review. So what took you years took me a week and a half to go through those years of your life. which is that is the joy of content. Which, with me, doing band stuff and albums, I spent, years making this music, and you listen to all of it in, 2 hours. That's cool.
Yeah.
But, went through your content.
Pain of creating.
Yes, that's the one of the benefits of creating. But I went through all the content, and, I didn't always necessarily agree with you, but I always respected your takes, thought they were intelligent, nuanced, and it actually, made me give other games an additional look. Where I started playing My Life as a King with the wife for a bit, and had a great time playing that. We didn't get to finish it because we just got busy with life. But your review of My Life as a King is you know what? I'm going to play a little bit of that because that looks like a good time, a good wife relaxing kind of game. Us taking turns deciding where to build stuff.
Yeah.
So And I admire you, like, you doing all of it, because I had a couple of friends who did a Final Fantasy podcast, and they would just they claim to be doing all the games, but they skipped the mobile games, they skipped Chrono Trigger, they skipped any game that wasn't called Final Fantasy originally in Japan, so they skipped the Legend trilogy, and you're just like, nope, I'm doing all of it. You did it all, so that's respect. That's respect. So,
although another point of contention is, I know you wish I did the 11 expansions fully.
I do.
You said in the past.
I have said in the past. Look, I just know you're not going to, because you're almost done, so you got like the senioritis. But I wish you had given 11 the same treatment you gave 14. It does feel like a bit of an unequal thing there, but I mean, look, I know 11's not for everyone. I think it's great. I think there's a lot of great story there, but I'm a story-first gamer. And, you know, I've also played through all of Brave Exvius. And I'll also like Brave Exvius, like the gameplay, like certain parts of the gameplay are actually like really, really engaging, but like a lot of it's trash. A lot of it isn't very good. But a lot of the season 4 stuff is actually really good gameplay wise, because it fits in with the narrative about like why it's ridiculously difficult. But like, I understand, like, I am the minority of being a story first gamer. But I would say I would highly recommend, if you're saying I've beaten every Final Fantasy and you're doing every 14 expansion, and then you're like, but I'm not doing every 11 expansion, it's like, that's still an asterisk.
But the thing, I mean, there's a lot of asterisks to the series either way.
That's true.
I might have played the mobile games. I played the mobile games as much as I've played the 11 expansions. Truly, like, I skipped most of the story. Like, I got to the end point, and the end point of 11, to my credit, was Rhapsody of Vana'diel.
And I mean, that's why I'm not like too hard on you about it. I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah. The only real issue I really had with your reviews of specifically Brave Exvius and War of the Visions is that you didn't consume much of the story, and what I would have preferred you have done is just beat season 1 rather than jump to the middle of season 4 and be like, I don't know what any of this means. Like, beat the first end credits thing, have your opinion on that, and then say, I didn't think it was worthwhile to continue into the other seasons. I think that would have been a more balanced review, because then you get like, okay, a full narrative, what's the context of these characters, because story, as we're getting to story versus gameplay, that is a huge component of Final Fantasy.
It is, and I am so gameplay focused that I know if I did that, my review would be the exact same. Like, I technically played through all of the other seasons and still was like, this is awful to experience, so therefore I don't care. Which, some people I have a problem with, but I also think when it comes to gacha, it's just like, there's no rules. I don't respect them, and so I don't give them that time and effort. Just the time, I guess. I do give the time, because goddamn.
But you don't want to engage with it any more than you absolutely need to.
Yeah. Except for Ever Crisis.
All right. See, like, and what's funny about that is that is a gacha game that I'm staying away from, because I'm just like, no, I'm not going to ruin my life with that. That just looks terrible. Yeah.
All it takes is that the lore, the canon lore, you make it canon, and I'm like, well, I gotta know then. You got me. Same for Kingdom Hearts. I wish I counted how much hours I spent on Kingdom Hearts and how much I'm going to spend on the new one.
Yeah, but I will once again wave. I really wish you would try another Eden for just like 3 hours, because I think that is the right? one gacha game that I think you'd be like, okay, this is an actual real game and it's non-predatory. I think that would be the one where you'd be like, okay, this makes sense why Greg is waving the banner for this. And, it's made by, like, someone who actually made real games. So you're like, okay, I can see why this is actually good.
Yeah. I am curious to see if I feel that way, too, because I'm so strongly, like, stubborn on this. I wonder if I would play it and be like, it's not that bad. Or if I'd be like, you know what? A gacha is a gacha. Gacha is as gacha does. some predatory more than others, but I just can't.
Yeah, because the way that one is set up is that it plays like a traditional turn-based RPG, world map exploration, no stamina system, except for like super dungeons, which like you can get extra rewards for, but those like you don't really need to do to just beat the game. Super dungeons, sorry.
Oh no.
Can you hear me? Did you lose me for a second, or are you there?
You cut out, and I don't hear you right now.
Okay, let's test.
You are currently frozen.
That is unfortunate, because you are not frozen.
And I don't know if I'm coming through, but you're not coming through.
All right, we're reconnecting. All right, we're back.
Hello.
We're
back.
Sorry about that.
Dragalia lost us all on this day. Have you played that? Because Timmy's talking about it. He says it's the only real gacha game. And I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. That
game lasted like 2 years or something.
Yeah, no, I've not played it. But what I was saying is that Another Eden, the only like elements that you need to worry about are super dungeons. So like there is like a gated time thing of that where they'll give you like, okay, here's your pass to go into the super dungeons, and that's for character upgrades, which you don't need because they'll give you free characters that are strong enough to do anything you want. That's just if you want to do like the insanely difficult like super bosses, then okay, that's when you start getting into gacha. But like if you want to do like main story and like 500 side quests, you don't need anything. They give you free characters, and they give you enough free currency where you just like get good characters like whenever. It's like it's not a big. I have like over 150 characters. I've beaten the main story, and there's still like probably a year's worth of like free content for me to do without needing to like spend a cent.
How many hours do you have?
I don't know because it's on Steam. Alright, so the base game is like 40 hours, and then there's a bunch of like mini like RPGs in there that are like 10 hours where like here's the side story, and that's like a 10-hour RPG with like new locations, and then you get a new character, and there's a bunch of those. And I'm also doing all the character side quests, which each of them are like 2 hours. So there's just like, I don't know, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I would say like if you played it for like 3 hours, you wouldn't get to like anything that felt like predatory gacha. You'd be just like, this is just a normal game. When's it gonna backfire on me? And just like the only way it gets you is if you're like a weeb who's just like, I need all the waifus. I need to keep drawing until I get the waifu that I want. But if you're just like, no, I've got like 150 characters, I'm fine, and like I don't know, I might randomly draw her, but like I'll be okay if I don't. Then it's fine for you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for the guys addicted to the waifus, unfortunately, the game is a problem. That is, I will concede that. If you are addicted to the waifus, that game will wreck you. Just because the content is free doesn't mean it's good. That is true. But Another Eden's content is actually really good. That's why I'm actually bothering to play it. Because if it wasn't good, I'd be just like, no, I'm good. I've already got, too many gachas in my life. 3 is way too many.
Have you played Dimensions 2? I don't remember.
Yes, I have. And I like Dimensions 2 quite a bit. I think the big thing with that game is that the lack of exploration hurts with the pacing compared to Dimensions 1. But also, I think the story is so much better. So, I ultimately, because I'm more of a story gamer, I do prefer Dimensions 2 to Dimensions 1. But if you're just someone who's like, I vibe with Final Fantasy V hard, and I like that this game has like a 5th party member slot and the different jobs for the different teams, like it's a great time. Like Dimensions 1 is a great time, and I can see why one would prefer one over the other. But because I'm just such a story nerd, I do prefer Dimensions 2.
But does Another Eden feel like how that game feels? In that, like, it's definitely like mobile. It's a mobile game. You can tell there's these items and there's these, like, it's not a gacha game, but like it feels like it.
So Another Eden, I play with a controller. So I use a program called Joytiki because it doesn't have built-in controller setup. You do have to use the mouse occasionally, but when you're like exploring a dungeon and going through battles, it just feels like you're playing a normal RPG. Like you're walking around on the map with your little dudes, you're in a battle, you select commands, you do the commands, you continue on, you talk to NPCs in towns. There's a world map. The world map is more like a Mario world map where you like select locations, but they're all like interconnected.
Stages. Yeah.
So like you can walk into the zones or you can fast travel using the world map. So that's what it's there for, but you could just walk everywhere and it's all like an interconnected world. So it's not just like you've walked too much, you need to pay us money to continue walking. Like it doesn't do that. And it's not just like, yeah. Oh, you want to explore this area? You must give us money. It doesn't do that. It's just like you play the game and then you unlock characters and you unlock locations and you unlock story. So it's like a normal game. It's just certain characters, like, you don't naturally unlock in the story. You just unlock them through gacha pulls. But if you just used free characters, the free characters are some of the strongest characters in the game. So you don't need to do the gacha pulls. It's just like, oh, this character was in this, side quest, and I thought they were interesting. I wish I had them in my party. Oh, I can pull them for gacha. But if you just want, just strong units, it's just like, oh, I've got Surge from Chrono Cross, and Joker from Persona, and a bunch of characters from Tales, because they did crossovers with those games.
That Joker's in everything, man.
He is in everything. But
what's he doing?
But also, like, the Persona crossovers, like, actually, there was good writing. I was like, oh, this... And they introduced mechanics from the different games. So, like, when you do the Persona crossover, there's, like, a sneak mechanic. When you do the Tales crossover, they've got a cooking mechanic. They have the Chrono Cross element system when you do the Chrono Cross crossover. Like, they just add all these new mechanics from each game, and then it makes you want to play the game. And you're just like, oh, man, like, I did the Octopath crossover. Like, oh, man, I want to do this path action thing. Like, now I want to play Octopath. Like, the games that I've played, I appreciate more. And then the games that I haven't played, it makes me want to play them. But it gives you, like, a good little taste. Like, oh, I've got 10 hours of, like, playing with these Octopath characters and getting a feel for, like, what they might be like in their game and what the mechanics are like. And then it makes you want to go and play the game. But it's not, like, charging you extra for it. Just like, all right, cool. Get this taste of Octopath in here.
They got Nier in there?
They don't have Nier. It's like, there's, like, 2 Tales crossovers, Octopath, Chrono Cross... there's like 2. There's like
Nier is supposed to be in everything.
Yeah, Nier. I mean, well, then it'll be canon, so that'll be. I'm looking forward to when that happens. Yeah. So we disagree about story versus gameplay. Did you have something you wanted to touch on with 11 specifically, since we still had that playing in the background?
11? Do I have something to touch on with 11, dude?
Because you started the conversation with that. I didn't mean to cut you off necessarily.
No, I just... That game's hard, man. It's hard to experience. It's hard to immerse yourself in. Because I feel like that was the end of the first year of Refoid. And at that point, I think I had done... There were, like, no asterisks aside from dead games. So, when I was just looking... Because I didn't know Final Fantasy XI was an MMO when I started this series. That's how much I knew about Final Fantasy. And when I hit it, I was like, well, this will be kind of fun. Because I've never even seen a second of gameplay. And I've never played an MMO. And I was like, is this what MMOs are? It was just, it was the grind. It was awful. And truly, if Rhapsodies of Vana'diel actually required you to play through all the expansions, I would have done it. And the review probably wouldn't have changed all that much. Kind of like what I said before about World of the Visions. If I did the story of season 1, like at the end of the day, when something strikes a chord and that's like your main focus, the other things, the other pieces of the story, not gonna change. And that being said, I still loved the Rhapsodies of Vana'diel story, alone, secluded, as its own thing. And even though I didn't understand half the things it was referencing,
no,
I respect it for that.
Well, I will say this: if you played season 1 of War of the Visions, like that season 1 sucks. Like I actually like quit after
Yeah,
beating the
that's
final boss
yeah.
because like this game is awful. I hated the gameplay. I hated the story. But I had this like weird hunch, like you know what? I bet the story is actually good immediately after this. Like I had this weird gut feeling.
Because that's how Gacha games go most of the time.
Yeah, but Brave Exvius was actually like Brave Exvius proper was good season 1 story wise. Like the story was good from the beginning. Versus War of the Visions was like this is just like trying to be smart and it's just really dumb and just like the stupidest war drama I've ever seen. And I just thought it was just an absolute dumpster fire, like gameplay wise, music wise, like everything about it I thought was terrible. But I'm like, you know what? I just had like, this hunch that it was going to be good. And then after that, so I just watched it on YouTube now, but like it actually got really, really good after that. And shock, like some of the best moments in the series story wise. I'm just like, how did you have such a bad start? And then like,
Yeah.
it's like if you started Game of Thrones with like season 8 quality and then immediately jump and like the next season was like season 3 or 4 and just like how did this jump happen? This doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Them Gacha games are a mystery, man. Gachas, MMOs, live services. It's a messy thing that they got. There's always so many like extra pieces. You can't just talk about one thing.
Yeah, no, and that is an annoyance. And I'm been on this. You know, I didn't necessarily set up with the goal of playing every single Final Fantasy game. I mean, I kind of want to, but it's not like this is like the determined path I'm set on. But I have like I want to play a bunch of games because I'm interested in the stories in those games. But I have my FOMO list of games I want to play while they still exist, and because they're live service, I got to get them done first. And Another Eden is one of those games because, like, okay, this is actually good, but there's just so much of it, and it's like it's the size of an MMO, and it's absurd because it's a single player game with as much content as an MMO, and I'm just like trying to beat it by the end of the year. I'm just like, I don't know if I will beat it by the end of the year. That's how much is left for me to do in that game.
I'm so live service adverse that I don't have that issue. But that means I never play the games on my backlog because they'll always be there, you know?
Right. I mean, it's more just because like it's good and I know it might not exist is where my thing with Another Eden is. And then with 14, that's like the next one on the list after Another Eden, just to be like, you know what? Okay, I beat all the 14 expansions. I'm done. I did it. And then I can do the video that a lot of people are asking me for, like compare 11 to 14, rank all the expansions, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people are asking for that video. And I would just say this. 11 made me want to keep playing after I beat it, beat the base game. 14 made me like, you know what? I'm going to take a break for a while. So
you haven't done Heaven's Word.
Haven't done Heaven's Word. What I'm trying to do is I want to, like, when I do 14, just have that be my main game. And so I don't want to do, because I play 14 with a buddy once a week, and we're going through A Realm Reborn. And, like, going through it with him, so I'm, like, helping him out. But I want to, like, really savor it, really focus on it, focus on the story, focus on the experience. And because Another Eden is so, it's like, I'm not going to play 2 MMOs at once. I want to finish everything with Another Eden. Then I'm going to go back, rewatch 1.0 cutscenes for 14, watch like a story summary of A Realm Reborn, and then do all the rest at once in like a 3-4 month period. So that's my plan with 14.
That's a lot of crunch.
Not as much if you're like if it's like your main game.
Yeah, if it's like the one game.
If you're not playing any other games, you're just doing 14 as like your normal game in hours per week, it's not as much. Because I saw someone on YouTube like, I beat all of 14 in 2 months as a new player. I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But,
There's
if you have the time.
Crazy 14 people. Insane.
Oh, yeah, I won't die if I don't play all the FF games, so that I am lucky in that regard.
Yeah. Well, White Mage Power. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, actually, I'm a stupid caveman, so I'm Monk.
Oh, Monk's great though. We've had a Monk for a little bit.
Yeah, I just did it because like I want to engage with these mechanics as little as possible because I don't like them. What's just going to be easy? And then I look on Reddit like Monk is the hardest to play. Don't play Monk unless you want a challenge. Like, damn it, I'm this far in.
I mean, like, I don't feel like there's that much of a challenge to 14 at all during the dungeons and the trials. Like, even the solo stuff, you just gotta, if it's hard, you die and then you play very easy, and then
Yeah, but even very
like, press one
easy,
button and win.
I've had difficulties with like when there was that the 15 and 16 crossovers, especially the 15 one with like having to utilize warp strike in a certain way. The 16 one wasn't as bad,
Yeah.
but there was that one hit kill with Garuda with the 15 crossover, and you could get the rest of the fight perfect, be at full health, but if you missed that warp strike by even like a second, boom, instant kill. And I'm just like, that is, and the thing is, it's not just like, like towards the end of the fight, like it's like in the middle of the fight. So you have to go through the entire process over again. I hated
completely
that.
Understand.
That was awful.
There's definitely some stream moments I think some people watch and know that we're doing the duty and it's just like, what? Wait, I'm supposed to, what am I supposed to, and then I'm dead. And it's like, well, that's like, can you do something better than that? It doesn't have to be that, like, I'll say a text appears on the screen, like, you gotta save your friends. It's like, okay, well, I'm attacking the boss. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I can't even heal them half the time. Like, they're not considered my party, so like AoE heals don't affect them and all that sort of annoying stuff. And then all of a sudden, he one hit kills him. And it's like, well, you failed. Start the whole thing over. And I'm like,
yeah, the one hit kills are super obnoxious, and oftentimes
think they get rid of those.
Yeah, but they're awful. Like, I think you should have like a penalty for like missing something that's important, but it shouldn't just be like, oh no, you messed it up. Do the entire fight over again, and you already spent like 20 minutes doing this. Like, no, that's obnoxious. That's terrible. That's bad.
Solo mission's not my favorite part. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very like I'll forgive a lot of bad gameplay, as evidenced by me, playing through Brave Exvius to this day, and still like, okay, new story chapter, I will log in and actually play through it. So I can accept some bad gameplay, but that, like, if I were to redo my ranking series today, 14 would actually probably rank lower than 12 in a bunch of categories, because the more of a 14 I play, the less I like it. The more I'm just like, oh my god, you're making me want to play 12. Stop it.
We should talk about 12.
Let's talk about 12.
Final Fantasy 12. I mean, how many ranking videos did you make? Because I watched them all, and every time I was just like, is it going to be at the bottom? Is it going to be at the bottom?
12 ranked high in some categories, though. Like, there were some shockers.
Yes,
like,
it did.
People think, you hate 12. I'm just like, no, there's certain parts of 12 I don't like, but I think the characters are good. I think Vaughn is actually a good character. Hot take.
Hard disagree.
I think there's good side content in 12, even though I didn't do all of it. The bits I dabbled in, it's like, okay, this is good side content.
Yeah, I do want to see. I would like go back to my save file and fight some super bosses and stuff.
But yeah, I rank it towards the bottom of the list. But again, I think the combat is really boring. I think like the setting up gambits themselves are really, really fun. But then once you're in the battle, it is the worst combat in the series, is what I used to think until I started playing more 14. And now I'm like, no, never mind. Never mind.
Well, okay. I'll defend 14 to a point. Like the solo duties, that's not like the main game, even though they're there and they're sprinkled throughout and they're annoying. But you don't really get to play your job correctly until like the expansions. And there's a lot of moments where everything you have synergizes. And it's like, oh, I'm doing good as a white mage. I'm saving my team. We lived because of me. Like, that's really cool.
I mean, I'm playing Monk. My job is just hit stuff.
Yeah. I don't know how it is about DPS. You have to ask Deadman if he's here. Maybe he can input on that. Just hit stuff, don't die. And then if you do die, wait to get rest.
But by the way, I'm not being rude by checking my phone periodically. It's because I am if I have too many things open, I don't want to crash the stream. So I've got my phone looking at the chat periodically. So I'm not ignoring you.
Oh yeah, I got the iPad.
Nice. Okay, cool.
How to use.
Sorry, sir, you need a license to wear that hat. Yeah, lore-wise, like, the license stuff is silly, but, like, mechanically, I'm fine with it. I think it's, like, a fun gameplay thing. Like, I think 12, as we value story versus gameplay, weaker story, good cast, weaker music, gameplay-wise, great menu gameplay, awful, like, once you're in the battles gameplay. Like, again, I would say to the people who are just like, oh, 12 is great, like, play 12 original without 4 times speed and get back to me. Because that's the version I played. OG 12 without 4 times speed. Tell me those battles aren't a slog.
So you didn't play like the revamped job system thing?
No, I've got just my copy on PS2. That's the one I played with the wife. That's the one I, bought at a used game store. I'm just like, oh, this will be fun. I haven't played a Final Fantasy in a while. I was like, what is this trash? Which I don't think it's trash anymore, but that was like my first impression of it was just like this guttural, just like disgust. And that's because like, man, I skipped 11. I don't want to play an MMO. That's trash. Because I skipped 11 like everybody else. Like, MMOs are trash. I don't want to play MMOs. And this is like a single player MMO. This is awful.
Exactly, yeah.
And now I'm like the biggest 11 stan and the only person to do a video on all the 11 expansions. I'm the only guy who's done that. No one else has done that on the internet.
It's like it's such a mountain to climb over. But I've seen some 11 YouTubers like back when I was starting to see their guides and stuff, and they have all like stopped making content entirely. So it's really just you.
I mean, there's some other 11 YouTubers. A lot of them are playing private servers, which that's like my 2 biggest Final Fantasy hot takes that get people yelling at me. One is that 6 is just good and not by far the best in the series. That hot take gets me a lot of hate by saying like, yeah, 6, it's like middle of the pack. I don't think it's significantly better or significantly worse. It's just a normal, very good Final Fantasy game. One of my favorite games ever, but because I don't say like, oh, it destroys everything else and it's so much better than 7 and 7's trash and 9 is trash and 6 is the king of the mountain, because I don't say that, they're like, oh, he hates 6. So that is one of the opinions that people get mad at me for. And the other opinion I have is with 11, where I say, hey, private servers for a live service game are kind of unethical because this live service game is dependent upon revenue to survive, and as resources get stripped away from it, the updates become smaller and smaller. And private server people
just made the ranking private servers by
ethics. Where I went through each private server and just like, okay, how ethical is this particular private server? And
how many are there?
I don't remember. I have to look at the video. There was like maybe like, I don't know, like 20 or something. But most of them are just like the game with less content, and like they moved some stats around. Like, oh, we fixed it by this number is now 3 points higher.
Oh yeah, I don't mess with that. Changing the game stuff.
Yeah. But there's like a couple that like, oh, we added a couple new quests. I'm like, you know what? You actually did something artistic and creative with it. You didn't just steal the game and change some numbers. I will respect that from like the artistic creative standpoint, because I don't know if you saw my Chrono video, but I'm down with fan games if they're doing like something, if they're making a new story or doing something creative. I think that's fine. But I think if you're just like, I am stealing this live service game that people are still working on, that they're putting out new content in to this day, but they're having difficulties doing it because they're getting less money from the company because people are pirating the game. Yeah, I'm going to say that's disrespectful and not a good thing to do. And I encourage people, like, if you want to play 11, play the official version of the game and support the devs, because they're still putting out new stuff, and like they're, doing it together with like, bubblegum and duct tape and doing everything they can, and they still brought a new expansion out with like no budget. And so like I respect the artistry, the creativity. And since most private servers are just
like,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
Who's doing that? Who's doing that at Square? Like, what's the team look like? How small is it?
I think it's like 10 people. And one of them is
Team Fortress 2.
Yeah, one of them is Akihiko Matsui, who is one of the co-directors of Chrono Trigger and worked on Chrono Cross. And so he's just a guy who's just like really passionate about just like, telling a good story, and like he's just a very creative guy. And so he just always wants to create as much as he can, but was just sort of like hamstrung by just like how much budget 11 was given. And so they like did all these weird workarounds to make the Voracious Resurgence happen. Because originally it was going to be Secrets of Dueling was going to be the last expansion, and they're like, well, let's do Rhapsodies. Let's close out with something nice. But then, like, he was still on 11 for years, and just like, man, COVID is making everyone really sad, and I've got an idea for a story. Let's make a story. Let's add new story to 11. And he always finds a way to like pull miracles and like create magic with like next to no resources. And like as a artist, as a creative, like I respect the hell out of that. And I think the private servers were just like, nah, everything after 2006 is trash. We're going to throw it all away and pirate the game. I'm just like, that's just like disrespectful when they're still working on the game.
Yeah. Has that guy, does he have a history there? Like, did he work on older games?
Yeah, he worked on Chrono Trigger. He's been there since like around that, since the SNES era. I think maybe even before, but like Chrono Trigger is like his big credit. He's like one of the 3 directors on it. It's like him, Takeda, and Kato, I think, are the 3 directors on Chrono Trigger. And so Takeda, you know him from Dimensions 1 and 2 and the After Years, and Live a Live, like that's Takeda, and also wrote a lot of OG 4. So you got Takeda from there. You've Masato Kato, obviously, the Chrono games, Xenogears, and Other Eden. And then Matsui, you've got him with Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, and 11.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'm still here. Are you still here?
What?
Yeah, sure. All right, we are back.
I don't know if this is my issue, so I apologize.
It's the first time it's happened on the stream, or since I've been doing streams, so I don't know, but, it'll be fine.
I'm Prish.
And I'm just doing that. Come on, give me what I want to see. I want to see Tom in the stream. I mean, although Prish is fine.
Yeah, Prish is cool. Prish is one of the good characters there. But I always wonder with these big creators who are stuck on these projects, like, I wonder if they want to try a new game.
Well, with Matsui in particular, he has like stated he just loves 11 and has a passion for it, and he was actually planning on retiring with the game. Yeah. But then there was another guy who wanted to become the producer for 11, who was also working on 11, and convinced him to step away from producer and move to an advisory role. And so, but he was planning on like, no, this will be the game I retire with, and I would just work on this basically till I'm in my 80s. But now he's like, I'm just going to retire early and just enjoy things and just sort of help the game as we transition into the new era. But, like, you could just tell, like, the dude like, really, really cared, which is, again, why I'm against private service, because, like, you can just feel, like, his passion and just making stuff happen. So, like, I mad respect for that guy.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think I feel that for Yoshi P. Like, not that he doesn't love it, but I also feel like he's like, I'm ready to move on. But they got me on this 14, and I'm the 14 guy.
Yeah.
And I get credited for it all. I got to do it.
Yoshi P, he's a very good professional. Like, he gets the job done. Like, he's a dude who's like, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to kick ass. Versus Matsui, I think he also does get the job done. Like, he will get the job done. But it's just like, you can feel like the passionate artist just like, I have to make this because my soul is telling me to.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, and I think that's also maybe why I like shove people like, no, seriously, play the rest of 11. Because like I see that but also I understand if the gameplay is too big of a barrier. But also like, you gotta max your sub job, dude. That's why you're having a miserable time. Your stats are trash.
Yeah. Do you think they'll ever do offline 11?
The problem is there's so many systems in there that I wonder how they could make it, like, effective. Just because it's so massive. So, like, could they do it with some very heavy rebalancing? Sure. Because, like, most of it, you can solo pretty easy. up to like Adulan, it's pretty easy to solo all of that. And then like last couple bosses in Adulan, last couple Rhapsody's bosses, and then basically all of TVR. TVR was like that puts hair on your chest as a Final Fantasy player. That's what separates the men from the boys. I'm just like, this is hard, dude. I as someone who considers myself like very basic, like a basic white girl when it comes to gaming, I'm just like, how did I beat this? This doesn't make sense. I am not a good enough gamer to beat this content, but somehow I did. But if they rebalanced it, they could do 11 offline. I could see that working, but it'd be a lot of rebalancing.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't just die someday and then we're left with this crater of in between the main lines. That would be sad.
I don't think it'll die. I think the private servers will keep it alive eventually. So if 11 ever goes offline, there will be a private server that just duplicates retail, and I will actually support it then, because that's game preservation. I support that. There's a difference between
then it flips.
Yeah, there's a difference between game preservation and I am actively competing with this product and taking away the livelihoods of the creators. Which I had a great comment on one of my videos where the guy said, "Oh, 11 doesn't have anyone working on it and you're not stealing from anybody." I'm just like, that is a take because they just released a new expansion. That is certainly an opinion.
They, even though the private servers would be partially responsible for the game dying.
Oh, they all insist they're not hurting the game at all. They all insist, like, we're not hurting 11. I'm just like,
yeah,
okay. Sure. Is every single person on your server subscribed to retail? No? Then yes. Then yes, you are hurting the game. That's how it works.
They should make 11 with 12's combat system.
Oh, God, no. No, because the one thing that I like about 11 versus 12's combat is that like the game doesn't freeze when you select commands, which makes it harder, but it makes it more active and engaging. Like, I think that's actually a good thing. It makes it like you have to be on your toes and fast. You know, coming from the non-gameplay guy, that made it much more engaging for me.
But you got gambits, man. What more do you need?
Gambits. The battles to not like take freaking forever if I want to like choose any single command. Like if you want to do anything manually, it slows it down to just like a complete stop. It's awful.
What if they just did like how Remake does it? Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So I haven't played Remake or Rebirth because I do not own the hardware. Remake might run on my PC, but I haven't bought it because I am a broke boy, and I'm usually like a console generation behind. Yeah. So I haven't played 16 yet. Watched the cutscenes. Thought it was great story wise, and I don't understand the hatred that 16 gets, other than it's the new one, so it sucks. You know.
Yeah, I think that's mostly it.
I'm actually surprised with how like hype everyone was for it before it came out, and how that hype like immediately shifted. That's really surprised me. I thought it would just people like, it's okay, but not as good as 9. Like I thought like that would be kind of what would happen. I'm like, yeah, it's good, but not as good as the classic stuff. So I was very surprised with that. Surprised with Rebirth's overwhelmingly positive response, but I think like because they're nailing the characters and the world, and it just seems like a lot of fun, that makes sense. And so even if people have like, you know, some takes about changes to the story, I can understand why that is as successful as it is in terms of the fan community. Like gameplay-wise, it seems like it's perfect. Like,
yeah, I mean, I ride or die Remake and Rebirth gameplay are my favorite. I think this 16 hype was like, there hasn't been a Final Fantasy that wasn't just a mess on launch before, and you got the guy who's the guy who fixes messes making it, and 14 is this massive success, and it's got definitely the 14 fans are contributing majorly to that hype. But then like, you know, half of them played it maybe, and then all these other people who don't even play 14 played it and were like, well, okay, it's, you know, it's a good action game. And then you have all those the common combat issues that those two games have that I think contributed to the Switch a lot.
Oh, so I'm just doing a test. Also, can you still hear me?
That's just cool. I'm down with more of that. Even though I think Yoshi B said he would do more a lighthearted one next. I'm down with that too. Yeah, whatever. I don't want him to direct 17 though. Give it to a new guy. That's my take.
And we're back. So I actually, the good news is, I am actually hearing you the entire time. Are you hearing me at all? Is the trick though? I'll take that as a no. I'll take that as a no.
Hello.
Thank you, Discord. All right, we're back. We're back.
You missed it. I went on a whole rant.
Oh, no,
about
I can hear you the entire time. The thing is, it's only disconnected on your end. I can actually completely hear you every time. And the stream can hear you. So the good news is we're not losing any of that sweet, sweet content.
Yes, the content is back.
Yeah, no, content is back. We are keeping the content going, baby, this whole time. All that sweet, sweet content. Zero loss of the content.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in chat who are agreeing, like, gosh dang it, I want to buy a PS5 for 2 games. Which makes sense because Sony won't give them any more than that. God forbid. So, I just, I love that they're doing a cross-platform future. I think that's the right move. But I think 17 is going to take 8 years to come out. And we're going to go through the whole thing again anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, the only reason I was able to play 15 was because I got like a better laptop that could handle it. I don't have a PS4. So I'm pretty behind on like a lot of games. But hey, if everyone wants to do a GoFundMe, get Greg a PS5, we will do it, and I will do a video essay on 16 and Rebirth. I'll do both. I'll do a versus.
Well, PS5 Pro is on the horizon. I can feel it, so maybe wait for that.
I mean, I'm in no rush. The thing is, like, between Another Eden and the rest of 14, that's good till like the middle of next year. And I have a massive backlog of games I want to play. So I'm not in any rush. Like, there's a Joan of Arc game that's like a PSP like tactics RPG I want to play. So there's that. There's
cool.
the Fabula Nova Crystallis games I played little bits of but haven't beaten. So I want to finish Lightning Returns and Type 0. Like, I played a little bit, liked them, but just like didn't finish them. So I have so many games. So, like, I'm not worried about like, will I ever play Remake and Rebirth? Like, I'll get to it. It'll probably be around the time the third one comes out, and then I'll just marathon them all at once, and that'll be a great time.
Oh yeah, they're gonna do a bundle trilogy thing for sure.
Oh yeah, and so I'll just enjoy it all then.
They offered, like, if you buy Rebirth, you just get Remake for free, so they'll probably do that again in some form. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the backlog thing. That's kind of why I avoid these games.
The gachas.
I think we beat any live service. We beat 14 Dawn Trail yesterday.
Oh, congratulations!
Ever since March 2023, we've been playing this game every week, and it's my Monday nights because we do the stream, and it's my another day of the week for basically the night to do whatever I need to do to catch up. So we sync, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of free time I have again. That's nice. And I could just play other games. I bought like $80 worth of indie games to play over the summer sale, and I'm just playing through, and I'm like, yeah, it's nice. It's so nice to play just a 5-hour, 10-hour game. Those are the best. Those are always the ones I love. You beat it, you get the whole experience.
Yeah.
There's no padding. Oh my gosh. Everything, movies, games, everything has a padding issue these days. You just play an indie game from a guy who wants to make a game that goes like this. and then you do that, and then you're done, and you can play another one. I love that. That being said, I have a massive backlog still. Who doesn't?
Yeah. No, I think I have like a list of like 100 RPGs I want to play. And so I'm just like, this will just be like what I play till I die. That's cool. It's like, see how many of these I get before I cease to exist.
Being into RPGs is a curse. They're just the longest of the games.
Yeah, and unfortunately, me liking a couple live service ones is even more of a curse because and these are even big by those standards. I kind of just wish Another Eden was bad, so then I could be just like, oh no, I'm done. I don't need to keep playing it. But no, this is actually really good. Damn it.
Yeah.
And I even was going to skip the character side quest. I'll just do main story. I don't need to do the side quest for each character. And then I tried one or two. These are really well written. Damn it. I have 100 characters.
Wait a minute, because I only relate on Gacha for Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. As a story guy, have you tried Kingdom Hearts?
So
the games, not the Gacha game.
I have beaten the first 3 Kingdom Hearts games. So Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories proper, GBA, and Kingdom Hearts 2.
Nice.
And I had a buddy of mine who I really respect his opinion on story games. And he said, you have to watch the Birth by Sleep cutscenes. It's so good. So I watched the Birth by Sleep cutscenes. I have vague familiarity with the stories of the other games. So 358 over 2. I know kind of what goes on in Dream Drop. I know the spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3. So I got vibes, but as far as the ones where I know the stories of exactly the first 3 and Birth by Sleep. And I think Kingdom Hearts is fine. I don't think it's one of the absolute greatest RPG stories ever told, but I don't think it's this convoluted mess that's complete trash like some people do. I think yeah, it's good. I like it. I plan on playing them all someday. I'm a big Frozen guy, so I'm obligated to consume any Frozen media that comes out. So I have to get to the Kingdom Hearts 3 for that. That's why I'm watching High School Musical Season 3, because damn it, that's the Frozen season. I've got the Frozen novels over there. I'm obligated, the way you're obligated to do every Final Fantasy, I'm obligated to do every Frozen before I die.
I did not know this about you. Wait, that show's on Season 3? Gosh.
It's on Season 4, but High School Musical Season 3 is the Frozen season. But, I mean, it's a good show, so it's all right, I'm good with this. The Frozen comics. Oof, those are the rough ones to get through.
What?
The Frozen comics.
You can't be serious. I didn't even know Disney made those for anything.
Yep. There's a very big quality variance. Some of them are this is clearly targeted towards the smallest of children, and some of them are just oh, this is a deep emotional story. Enjoy only 2 issues of this. So yeah. Every Frozen before I die. Got to start that series on the channel.
They ripped out a piece of Epcot for the Frozen ride, so I have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because that was the Norway area, so that'd be where you'd put that.
Yeah, it's set up too nicely for them, but I still don't I never got to ride that ride, man.
I mean, I get it. I kind of feel that way a little bit like the Harry Potter world in Universal, taking away part of the Lost Continent, because that was my favorite area in Universal, because it was all just magic and dragons and stuff, but medieval fantasy. And then they replaced it with Harry Potter. So it's but also I understand these theme parks are growing and evolving, and I've just the older I get, the more accepting of change I've become. Where I used to be very active in the Nashville music scene, and it was there was this place, this very famous music vendor that had my picture on the wall next to Louis Armstrong of famous musicians and Greg, because that's how big I was becoming on the scene. But that place
that's cool.
That place doesn't really exist anymore. And it went under new management, and then just completely shifted, and they took down those pictures. It's just a different place. There's a different crowd there. It's not my crowd anymore. And that's just part of life. We're just these places you used to go, they're going to change and be different, and that's just you have to accept that and then find the new places where you belong. And what trolls me, and back to the 11 private server thing, because that's actually a point I have with that. They will say, oh, the game is so different, and you just can't enjoy it the way you used to. You can limit your level cap to 75, just like it was back in the good old days, because the level cap quests. The graphics are the same, the music are the same, the locations are the same. It's just like, oh, you don't like the added quality of life feature, so you're going to pirate the game. So like, I understand like the desperation for nostalgia and things you can't hold on to, the same way I want to go back to that place where my pitch used to be on the wall. I'm mature enough to accept that in real life. They can't accept in like a video game MMO, just like, oh no, just like they added some new optional mechanics to this MMO. It's trash now. So like that trolls me when I look at like the two like side by side.
You have to acknowledge it. You don't have to accept it. It's a pretty good chat member. Thank you.
Nice. Oh, and I'm doing a stream with him later this month. We're doing Final Fantasy Cinematic Universe.
What does that mean?
So he's going to approach it in the way of like he's going to do an alternate timeline where Final Fantasy were not video games but a series of movies, and how that would work as an interconnected universe is the way I think he's going to do it. I'm going to do it a little bit different, where I'm going to say, like, imagine like Universal or Disney or whatever, like a major studio bought the rights to Final Fantasy, and they said, Greg, you are our Kevin Feige, make a cinematic universe out of this anthology series. And me saying it's an anthology series that doesn't really work, like cinematic universe, interconnected, go. I'm like, okay, fine. And then like just they hired me for that job. How would I do it? So I think we're going to have two different approaches, but we're going to do a live stream discussing that.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Because like the alternate timeline thing, that doesn't work as much for me, because I would think of like all the implications of like what that would mean for like global culture and like the special effects quality of like a Final Fantasy in like 1988, and then like that evolving over time. So I'm like, I'm going to do the business-minded, okay, you gave me this gig, how am I going to make these into something that'll actually sell and make money? Because that works better for my brain.
Yeah, you got to connect it with like some Pixar theory thing. Those guys do.
Oh yeah, no, those storytelling tips are great. Every now and then when I'm working on my novels, I will like just skim through them, and I don't necessarily like get things out of them every time, but it's just like good refreshers. Like, yeah, those are some good tips, good stuff to pay attention to.
I was gonna ask about you as a story guy. I've fought with people over this quite a bit. I'm so anti-spoiler. But you deliberately watch cutscenes of games that you haven't played. That does not compute for me. I'm like, well, but you're not getting the experience.
So here's what it is. For me, I'm more concerned with getting the story than the gameplay experience. Getting the gameplay on top of it makes it more enjoyable, because you're getting all that like extra meat in between, and you can savor the story more and get the context of the world. But for me, a lot of it is just like knowing that I won't be able to play these games for years, and I'm not going to hide spoilers for myself for years if I just want to know what the story is and enjoy the story. So 15, I watched it when it came out in 2016, I think it came out. And I didn't get to play it till like 2020 or 2021. So that was like, a good 5-6 years, but I want to enjoy the story. Same with 16. I don't know when I'm getting a PS5. It might be another 4 or 5 years. I don't want to wait 4 or 5 years to experience the story. And with 11, because that was another one I watched the cutscenes for, I said to myself, no way in hell am I playing an MMO from 20 years ago. That is definitely not going to happen. I'm not going to have time for that. That is a literal impossibility. I'll just watch the cutscenes. But then because the cutscenes were so good, I'm like, shoot, now I actually want to play it. So what happens with me with 11 and 15, it's like it ended up being almost like my second playthrough, where I got to just savor it so much more because I knew what was happening, and just allowed me to just really soak in the experience. But even for a movie I haven't seen yet, I'll actually check out spoilers, because that'll help me decide whether or not I want to give it the time of day. So if I see a movie and I'm just like, all right, I'm on the fence about this, let me see like what the twists are. And if the twists are awesome, I'm just like, all right, hell yeah, I'm in. And if the twists are stupid, I'm like, no, absolutely not. Not wasting my money on this garbage. So like the movie Civil War, I read the spoilers. I'm like, yeah, this is trash. I'm alright. Versus like Batman v Superman, I read the spoilers and like, you know what? This seems like kind of a weird, interesting take. And because I knew the spoilers, I didn't have like expectations built up of it being something else. I knew what I was getting into. So instead of building up in my mind of what I want it to be, it helps me better accept what the art is. So I just like enjoy the ride, enjoy savoring it. And also I found that because I've tried watching some movies like intentionally avoiding spoilers. I did that with Frozen 2. And what happened when I watched Frozen 2 is like I was second guessing myself the entire time. Like, does this mean this? Does this mean this? And I'm asking so many questions that I'm not enjoying it. So I want to just like enjoy it. And you know, some stuff like is better the second time around, like Xenogears. I loved it the first time, so much better the second time. And Grave of the Fireflies, they spoil the end of the movie at the beginning of the movie. Spoilers, the kids die. But the journey and is so powerful, and it's done in such a good way where even if you have the ending spoiled, it's still a great experience. So for me, I am pretty hard on the don't care about spoilers, go ahead and spoil everything for me. But I understand people get like really sensitive about that, so I don't do it to other people. Like there was a very famous YouTuber, extremely famous YouTuber who I became friends with, who I am no longer friends with. And I think this might have been the breaking point because I posted on Facebook about
Oh no, you cut out right when you were getting to the T?
All right, I'm getting back to it.
Hold on.
All right, we are back. Thank you for everyone in the patience. All right, let's do this. Hello. I'm spilling the tea. I'm not going to say who the YouTuber is because I will be tactful. But the story is funny. It makes me laugh, so I tell the story because it gives me the chuckles. But very famous YouTuber. There is probably a 0% chance that the audience doesn't know who this guy is. So anyway, I met him because my band used to play a bunch of anime conventions, so we would be like the hired music entertainment. And so I got to meet a bunch of like these anime voice actors through doing those cons. So like we would go to like some random city, they'd pay us a few $100, we'd play, they'd buy us food in a hotel room, then you get to like schmooze with these voice actors from video games and stuff. And this YouTuber's tangentially connected to that community. And so we became like Facebook friends and like chatted now and then. But there's another story about him that would better explain the falling out, but I don't want to get into that because that's too much tea spill and I want to be respectful. But the point of this story is that like I posted when Infinity War came out, I said, spoilers, Thanos does that one thing he's really famous for. Was my entire Facebook post. And he was furious. And just, you just ruined the movie for me. Like, how could you do that? I'm just like, dude, it's source material. If you can't have like a hunch that's gonna happen, like that's your own fault. Like, you should kind of expect that to happen if Thanos is the villain. Like, isn't he famous for that one thing? He did the one thing he's famous for. And he got like really upset with me. And I said, there's one of two options. Either you don't know what I'm talking about, in which case it doesn't matter, or two, you read the source material, you know what I'm talking about, and then you can just kind of expect that, so that's not really a spoiler. I think if I've had people complain about like, spoilers of like, Shakespeare adaptions. I'm just like, dude, that's been out for hundreds of years. If you're worried about spoilers for Shakespeare, that's your own problem. Like, so I'm kind of anti
with source material for sure.
Yeah. So if you know the source material, chill out. If someone says something like jokingly like that, like I didn't say like who died, but you can assume like, oh, Thanos killed everybody except for Captain America in the comics. So spoilers for that from 40 years ago or whatever, that Thanos killed everyone except Captain America. Yeah. But yeah, like if you can't like have a hunch that's gonna happen, that's a you problem as far as I'm concerned.
I'll defend it to a point because I've heard people say spoilers for a 40-year-old thing. I've also heard people say spoilers for a 20-year-old thing, spoilers for a 5-year-old thing, spoilers for a 2-year-old. Like, everybody, you also have to accept that, you know, everybody has different childhoods, and not everybody watches that. And if you didn't read the Thanos comic book, like if I saw that Facebook post, I'd be like, huh, I don't know what that means. But you could still spoil things for people who haven't experienced it. Like, and also I think Clink had a good point. You might have froze again while drinking the frozen cup from.
Man, see, now I feel bad because you were telling a joke about the frozen cup, and then I unfortunately lost you there. That made me feel bad.
Well, see, the joke was that you froze. So
I didn't froze. You froze.
I can't believe PewDiePie did that to you, though.
It's not PewDiePie. Let me put it to you. Oh man, there's a part of me that just like wants to give the juicy details, but like I try to be like a respectful person. But specifically on the point of spoilers, even though I don't care about spoilers and I think that like overreacting about spoilers is silly, I try to respect it. So like in my videos, like my 11 video, I actually cut scenes a very certain way to avoid a spoiler showing, because I tried to make it for people who hadn't experienced the story, they wouldn't get spoiled. So like a lot of like villain reveals are cut in that video, and in my Final Fantasy ranking videos, I give like a spoiler warning if we're discussing something with spoilers. But in general, I try to avoid because I know a lot of people really care about that, and so I try to respect that. But again, if you're upset about me saying Thanos did that one thing he's really famous for, I don't know, you just got to chill at that point.
That's vague enough to be okay, I think. Yeah. But Clink had a great point about the spoilers. It kind of deprives yourself of the first experience. You get it's like you get the second experience, which is a totally different thing. It could be even better, but you don't get the first experience. And on my end, I have so many games to play, and no matter how much I love them, I don't replay. I don't rewatch. I don't know if I've ever like rewatched a show. So people tell me like, "Oh, I'm on my 50th run through of Breaking Bad," and I'm like, "But there's other shows I gotta watch."
Yeah.
So I watch those.
I'm the same. I don't really rewatch shows, or there's like a couple that have like are sort of like staples of the household, but that's more because like the wife wants to rewatch them. And there's like a handful of movies that I'll rewatch, like the Rocky films, the Frozen films, the Paddington films. Like those are just like, okay, this is the comfort food that speaks to the deepest corners of my soul. I'll rewatch those. But like in general, like my wife and I, we've only replayed we play a bunch of RPGs together. The only one we've ever replayed is 9. So we don't replay games really, because there's so much great stuff out there. But with 11 and 15 in particular, like I enjoyed those additional, those first playthroughs that felt like second playthroughs, because I did get to appreciate it so much more that extra time around. And the handful of games I have replayed, like I've replayed Final Fantasy Tactics and Xenogears, and like, oh yeah, no, these are even better on the second go around. So, but I don't. Sorry, I think I lost the plot there, but
no, I get what you're saying. But I think you just, like you said about Frozen 2 and you kept second guessing yourself. I think you just prefer giving yourself that second experience. And I prefer going in with a clear head, because I don't get hung up on wondering what's going to happen unless it's like, are you a fan of Shyamalan?
I'm not. I'm neutral. I'm neutral on Shyamalan, and I think in regards to like getting hung up on what's going to happen, like I don't need to do like a spoiler thing before I watch a movie, but it doesn't hurt the experience for me. Like, I don't like every single thing I watch, like read the spoilers for every single thing, every game I play, every movie I watch, every show. But it's like, if a spoiler comes across me, like, it's like, meh, I'm fine. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, I got the spoilers and I enjoyed it, but I didn't like, it wouldn't have ruined the movie if I didn't have the spoilers. Like, so I don't know. But with Shyamalan, I don't know. Signs was all right. I liked Signs. I think that was probably my favorite of his movies.
I like Signs. I do get in my own head when I'm in that position where if I get a spoiler, I'm exactly like you when you don't have spoilers in Frozen 2. I will keep reminding myself. It's like my brain is acting against me. Like, this happens. This is going to happen. Third act, that guy's dead. And I'm like, shut up. I just want to enjoy the movie. And I can't. It's just like, I don't have the ability to. And when you have that for like a game, 40 hours and you know what's going to happen, but for them, for some reason, when I replay a game, it's fine because I know I didn't get robbed the first time, but it's just that first playthrough.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it is like, I'm really into like history, news, and politics.
Happy about that, but if I got spoiled, I'm 50 hours in and people are saying I'm only halfway, so it's like, I'm going to be thinking about that for 50 more hours. It gets to me. Maybe I have a problem, but you always seem to hang up like once I finish my point, so it works out really nicely.
Oh no, I'm intentionally doing that. I'm waiting for you to finish your point before I hang up because I can hear it.
I agree with Temmie that Thanos copter is all I would know about Thanos.
I mean, that's really all you need to know about Thanos.
Okay, I give you permission to spoil this. Is Thanos copter in Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, Thanos copter is not in Deadpool and Wolverine. Sorry to say.
Well, then I'm not going to see it.
0 out of 10. Trash film.
They'll throw it in eventually.
Yeah, they'll throw it in.
Actually, wait, was it?
I think it was in Loki. I think it might have been in Loki.
Yeah, it was in Loki. It was.
Yeah, so spoilers, I'm like, it doesn't ruin the experience for me. I think they're fine. Oh yeah, I remember what I was saying because I'm a big like history, news, and politics guy. So for me, like, spoilers are just like me, just like I don't view them that way. I view it as like information and learning about things. And so if I'm looking at like a game, it's almost like this is just like the history of that world and just stuff that happened. It doesn't offend me. Like, I'm not gonna like, oh man, spoilers, Abraham Lincoln dies. Like, no, it's just like it's a thing that happened. And so
you spoiled Abraham Lincoln vampire killer for me.
Right. So I think that's why like I don't get the same like visceral like disgust when a story is spoiled. It's like, all right, well, that's what happens in that scenario. Good to know. Like it doesn't bother me in the same way that like
that's a very interesting perspective to have. Like, I view it as like this is a start and finish story, but like it's cool to see it as just this is something that happened in the world, especially for certain games like 15, whose world has so much going on in it. So I get that.
And it's weird that I'm like a big story focused guy when I'm just like, yeah, spoilers are fine. I don't care. Like that is, well, you wouldn't think that the guy who cares so much about stories, like the most important thing, is like completely flippant about spoilers. He's like, yeah, whatever. You can tell me who dies. No big deal.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely an opposite. Most people don't expect that.
Did you freeze again?
Did I freeze again? This stream is super exciting for everybody. Continually wondering how long we will go without the freezing.
I know, it must be me. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's probably just like a weird connection thing. I think so. It's probably something to do with like my virtual camera and OBS. Maybe that'll do it. Maybe that way, so you won't be able to see me, but maybe that will make it so it doesn't have this issue. Let me try that. All right, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Let's just try that, and just you can see my pretty face in the stream if you really need to.
Yeah, that works. I like what Temmie's saying. that's an interesting thing too, because how many times have you heard, "Oh, I gotta sell you on this movie. You gotta watch this movie, but I can't tell you why because you gotta watch it." Like, that's a thing.
That is definitely a thing, and the thing is that doesn't work for me because like there's so many like books and movies and video games and like stories I want to experience. Like you gotta tell me why this is worth my time because I got a list of like 200 other things ahead of this. So you know what? Tell me the spoiler because that's going to get me to the the juice right away. Like, is that juice worth it? Or I'm like, nah, I got something that tastes better. I'm out.
Yeah, do you get the juice on that Adam Driver dinosaur movie?
I did not get the juice on the Adam Driver dinosaur movie. I was fine. That's another hot take of mine is that I don't like Star Wars. That's a thing that's somewhat controversial.
I thought you were going to say you don't like Adam Driver. Holy
Adam Driver's great. No.
Yeah, I was going to be mad.
Got him on men. He's fine.
No, Star Wars, man. Star Wars is, it's falling off. Well, what you talking about the originals too?
I'm talking about the originals too. I like one movie out of the main 9. And that's where I'm like, you know what? I gave this franchise 9 chances. Your batting average is 1 out of 9. It's just not for me. Okay, this is the test. Can you hear me?
I think you froze again, but I can't tell now.
No. Okay, that's you. That's you.
It didn't work.
Didn't work. Getting rid of the virtual camera did nothing. It was useless. Absolutely useless.
Well, I have to know what Star Wars movie you like.
The Last Jedi is the one that I like.
Whoa. I do like that one. I'm a Last Jedi enjoyer. Sorry to the haters.
I think because it's like, again, the political mind, like that was the one that's like, oh, you're actually going to address like the military-industrial complex and cycle of war and those who profit off war, because like the way they set up the sequel is like the New Order or whatever is just not interesting. It's the Empire again, and so just like repeating the same beats. And this was actually like, oh, we're actually going to challenge the status quo, have a gray area, see about the people pulling the war behind the scenes. That is interesting. And then, of course, like J.J. Abrams just doesn't know how to write anything like that, so they just completely abandons that.
Yeah.
But I think like with everything that was set up in Episode 7, Episode 8 is like, well, this is what you have to do to have the story like go somewhere and make sense. Like, why would Luke not be a jaded asshole? Like, I wasn't doing anything for 20 years, but now you convinced me I've got to fight. Sure, let's just do it. Like, he has to be jaded. That's the only reason he'd be a recluse. Like, the way it was set up, that's how the story pretty much had to go.
Mm-hmm. So that's why you don't like 12. It's the most Star Wars Final Fantasy. Think about that.
I mean, I don't... You could argue 2 is more Star Wars than 12. I think 12 just like it's bland and boring and it doesn't like we just hit the same like character beat over and over and over again. Like, hey Ash, those nuclear weapon crystals are dangerous. You sure you want to use them? And that's just like the most of the story, and just like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. You're doing the same scene over and over again. Like, let's get this moving. Let's give me something else. Let's give me like an arc for any other character, please.
Yeah.
So I don't think the characters are bad. I think the voice acting is great. So I don't think there's like. I think the problem is just like the overarching story is the issue. It's just like they're not. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just sort of meanders.
Yeah. It's not that interesting. Which of the games haven't we trashed on yet?
Yeah, so I mean, you've watched my series. Do you have any other like takes of mine you want to address?
I mean, I don't want to bring up.
No, bring up the dirt.
I just feel I failed Final Fantasy Tactics, and I don't get the hype at all. So hype that you included it as one of the only. Is that the only official mainline included?
Yeah, the thing is, like, I played a bunch more, But those videos were long, man. I'm just like, I'm not including Mystic Quest on every single video,
Oh
because
yeah.
I did, that was 10 hours of video essays. I'm like, Tactics will get it because it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
the prestige among the fans, and I like
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
lot.
talking about. Like everybody does that. Everybody when I'm ranking all the main lines, but I'll throw in tactics because that's like number 2 or 3. And I'm like, I don't know. It did not hit me like that.
I mean, for me, I really resonated with the gameplay and story. But
Okay, caveats on my side that the game is a slog at least.
see. I don't know. I really dug it, but also like I was.
Gameplay first is that you froze again, but I play the game. It's a slog. Therefore, the story is the slog too. I can't separate them.
And we're back.
We're back.
Yeah, I mean, I look, if the gameplay is like that much of a slog that you can't appreciate the story, like then there's nothing that's going to break that barrier for you. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I get that. That's like that is, the way you consume video games. That's the way most people consume video games. That's a very normal thing. Um, I can get past that more than most people. Like, a lot more than most people, as evidenced by me getting through Brave Exvius and War of the Visions to a degree, but like the gameplay was so bad, it's like I gotta cut it off here. I can say I beat it because I got to end credits, but like I'm not gonna keep up with this gameplay. I'm just watching the cutscenes. But I understand that barrier is a big thing. I think for me, tactics, like as like a student of history and politics, uh, and also like a guy who has questioned religion a lot in his life. Tactics hits like a lot of good notes for me, like the euphoria in the brain, the dopamine keeps hitting. It's like, yes, give me that, give me that, give me that.
Mm-hmm.
Same way I love Xenogears. It's like it
Legend
does a
thing
lot
is
of
all
similar
over Final
things.
Fantasy.
But
Yeah, I
also
guess I
like
gotta
I
get
do
on
love the gameplay in
Xenogears.
Tactics. I like games like chess and shogi, and so for me, like that kind of system works. Like I even purely as a video game, I think it's a lot of fun, and the most fun I've had with the job system in any game. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people love the gameplay too, so I guess it's just me. But have you played the advances?
yes, I played both. I beat them both.
And do you think they improve on anything?
Um,
Even if they're not better overall, gameplay wise? Not story.
it's tricky. So I think Luso is a really great character. I'm very impressed with him. He's like got really great vibes in the same way that like I was actually talking with someone about this the other day, where you watch a Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and the movie might not be the greatest, but they're carried by the charisma of the lead. That's kind of how
Mhm.
Luso is in A2, where just like it's not that great of a story, but he is really charming to watch, and so he carries a lot of that through his charisma. Um, I think graphically, A2 is probably the best looking of the bunch. I think just the graphics are really, great pixel art, great use of color, like just stunning for
Better
that
than War
system.
of the Lions?
Yeah, I would say probably better than War of the Lions. I think it's really impressive pixel art. Gameplay wise, though, so it's like it's a mixed bag. I think the job system in OG Tactics and the progression system in OG Tactics is better than in the other two games, but I think the other games have better pacing of the battles and they're more fast paced and you can get the battles done with faster. And so there's a trade off of
Right.
a more satisfying like job system and you're losing a lot of like the drama, the storytelling. But then on the other hand, battles don't take like 45 minutes, and that is like a big
Mhm.
thing. So I think they're all good. I think they all have their pros and cons. I lean towards OG Tactics as being my favorite by a pretty wide margin, but I think all of them have their merits, and I wouldn't say any of them are bad necessarily.
Yeah.
And you're like
I
all
fear for
trash.
my. I just don't connect with them, and I always have a major problem with each of them. I fear for the ranking video that I eventually do.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be coming soon. You're basically, what do you even have left? You got Dawn Trail. What else is left? I don't remember if you did Rebirth yet. So you played Rebirth.
Is after that. Rebirth is the end.
Rebirth is the end. That is the conclusion.
It's crazy, dude. And I thought it'd be cool to do separate rankings too, but definitely wouldn't go as in depth. I wouldn't rank like all of those things that you did.
Well, that's why I only did the main lines plus tactics, because I knew if I did every Final Fantasy game I played, if I included A2 and Advance and Mystic Quest and a whole bunch of others, like I just noticed like that would just be insane. That would be, I just like those videos took me 6 months in between working 2 jobs.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, no, there's no way I'm adding all the other games to it. Like, would I want to? Yes, if I wasn't working 2 jobs and I just had like, if that was like my full-time job, sure, I would rank every single Final Fantasy game in all the categories. But just I don't have the time. I had to make the cutoff. And, you know, I got to like address them in little ways. Like in the Expanded Universe one, I got to talk about spin-offs and sequels. You know, I addressed Mystic Quest a little bit. So I did get to touch on them. So I did appreciate that. But yeah, there's so many. Doing that kind of series with all the games, that'd be impossible.
Yeah. I'd love to talk. I mean, like, the games are so different anyway. Like, ranking combat systems. Like, the systems, not even talking about, like, ranking this game. I'll talk about the system that's used in this game. That's cool. I might do that.
Hey, that'd be awesome to see some different rankings, because that was one reason I did it, was because, like, you know, they shine in different ways. And I don't think it's just like, here is the ranking and therefore 2 is the worst. Like, that's kind of boring to me. So that's why I like breaking it down into the different categories and then giving each game a chance to shine, and then have people still say I hate 6, even if I rank them in like the top 4 or 5 in some of the videos. Like, he hates 6.
Yep. I mean, there are people like you for 7 too. There's always, everybody's got their own opinions. It's such a varied series. Like,
oh yeah,
everybody's gonna think one's the best and one's the worst and one's okay. Well, the rest are gonna be okay. Like, there only a couple are gonna really resonate. That's why I like 15, because it's like objectively bad, but there's still so much passion about it, and I love it too.
No, 15's got great vibes, and things like I like all of them, even vibes, like even 14. Where I will say, like, I kind of hate the gameplay. Like, I do enjoy the music, the world, the story. So, like, I do like it. It's just, like, there's certain parts of it I don't like as much. But I wouldn't say any of the main series are bad. I mean, the only one that I would say is bad is All the Bravest. Like, that's just, like, that is objectively bad.
Yeah, and even, like, the old crusty games that with problems have better versions that fix those problems. So
yeah, and there's plenty of charm. You'd be hard pressed to find one with no redeeming qualities. Like, even you with Brave Exvius, you're like, graphics look great, music is great. Like, so even you like didn't say like it was completely irredeemable.
Well, I would say that about Final Fantasy 15: A New Empire, but that.
Well, let me put this: I didn't bother playing that. There are certain ones where it's like, nah, I'm all right. That was one of the ones I'm like, I'm good. I don't need it. Like, yeah. I have my limits. And that is where I'm like, I don't need to play every Final Fantasy game. This looks like trash. I'm good.
Yeah.
And like even like some other games, like the reason I like Brave Exvius and War of the Visions is that they're doing something unique with it. I don't like as much as like the random anthology games. We're just going to put all the characters together and they're just going to talk about stuff. Like, that's not
like Opera Omnia.
Yeah, like, which, you know, I tried a little bit of it, and just like it just felt like fan fiction to me. Which I know that one of my buddies who I did a stream with, he loves Opera Omnia, and I kind of want to give it another chance because he's so passionate about like watching the cutscenes. But for me, it's more interesting to like take new characters, put them in a new world, see what story they go on, as opposed to like mashing the action figures together. And the thing is, there's so many Final Fantasy games that do the mashing the action figures together that it makes the ones where like, no, we're just telling a new story with new characters, more interesting to me, and feel like that's more worth my time. And so like Brave Exvius, like some of the best characters in the series are in that game, and they're just like really well-written characters, fleshed out personalities, great designs, and I'm glad I got to experience them. But like, if I want to experience Furion, there's a whole bunch of games with him in it, and I don't have to do Opera Omnia because there's Dissidia, multiple Dissidias. There's FF2. There's enough different ways to experience that character where you don't need the giant crossover games like Record Keeper, Opera Omnia, for me anyway. Versus like Rain, like if you want to experience Rain and his story, just Brave Exvius, pretty much just that.
Mm-hmm. You didn't play Record Keeper at all, or did you?
I did. I played a bit of it before it went offline, and I liked it a lot. I thought gameplay-wise is actually much better than Brave Exvius. I thought, the graphics were charming. Like, I enjoyed Record Keeper, but it's hard to get momentum in one of those games where it's just like, we are in FF1 again. And boy, there's Garland again saying that famous line. Like, that's... I think it works more for Kingdom Hearts because Kingdom Hearts has better gameplay, and the overarching story in Kingdom Hearts is better than those Final Fantasy, like, action figure mashup cross-up games. Because they're basically taking the Kingdom Hearts form of, like, we're going to dive into this world and do a thing. But, even, what's the game? The one where there's the girl who is God, and there's like the two teenagers, and they work on like a coffee shop, and they're jumping into all the games.
Oh, World of.
Yeah, World of. Like, that one seemed to at least like have like an interesting like meta story around it where that worked. So it's really like the meta story has to be really good. It can't just be mashing the action figures together. So I'm not a blind loyalist. I got some opinions.
Have you played Mobius?
I played a little bit of it. I kind of wish I had played more of it because it seemed like there was some cool stuff in there, but I played it for like, maybe like 30 minutes or an hour, and then it went offline, so I've never, got to experience it.
What a shame. They'd just be killing games.
Yeah. And every now and then I see like the cutscenes pop up on YouTube, and I'm like, part of me wants to watch this, but also, like, part of me just wants to finish... Like, I want to finish my FOMO games. I just want them, like, done. I want another... I love Another Eden. I want it done. I'm enjoying 14. I want them both done. I want to just be done with that part of my life.
Yeah.
Which, you relate to with the... like, the key difference between us is that, like, I'm at least, like, enjoying it while it's happening, but because I'm like, okay, this might not exist, I have to do this now, but I'm also, like... wanted to move on to the next thing. So, like, the mixed feelings, as opposed to just, like, out and out hating it.
Yeah. How long is the Mobius video? Curiosity.
I don't know. I think there's a part 1. I think it's, like, 10 hours, and I'm just like, I don't even know, man. I'm not...
Okay.
Like, I'll click it, and I'll skim, and just, like, to look at, like, the pretty graphics, and, like, oh, that looks like kind of a cool thing that's happening, but I've kept myself from diving into that, because... I've got, too much other stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, it's about when I gotta go right now.
Well, hey, thanks for making the time. I was actually about to call it too. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us in the chat. This was a fun stream. Oh man, Jingle All the Way. Classic film.
That's
my favorite Final Fantasy.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the best Sid?
Of the Sids that I've experienced, prior to, for the longest time, it was 7 Sid. I think the ultimate Sid is the Sid from 16. I didn't think there would be a Sid that could defeat 7 Sid for me, because, I'm a 7 fanboy. I got nostalgia. But, like, the Sid from 16 is incredible. One of the best characters in the series, top tier, probably the best voice acting in video games, period. Like, just incredible.
Such a good Sid. That's like the best part of that game.
Yeah, he's incredible. Like, look, people call me a 7 fanboy, but like, I can admit a good Sid when I see one. It's a great Sid. Top tier Sid.
Well, there, I think we can agree. That's a good note to end on, then.
That is a good note to end on. Well, hey, thanks for making the time. I'm going to stop the stream. Make sure everyone who is here that is not subscribed to Tom's channel, it is linked in the description. Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
And definitely watch him as he finishes his journey. Watch all of his videos. Watch all of them, and then demand he do the rest of the 11 expansions. Tell him he's not done.
It's going to be 80, I think, by the end. So go ahead and watch them.
Yeah, they're great. I love them, and I think might have lost me. So that is the end of the stream.
Okay, bye.
Bye. My friend, thank you for a good stream. That was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun.